All right, question for you before we
Please.
move on from the lineups. What do you think will end up being like either our best, our death lineup? Because like in 2022 when we made the finals, it was Marcus, Jalen, Jason, Rob, Al, that double bigs, that defensive like historic lineup that just dominated teams from like January on. I don't think we really found a lineup like that last season. Like the Celtics were just like really good across the board last season. You know, they were fluttering 1-2-3 in offense all season. They were the second in the league in defense, but it was a big drop off from the year previous. Like, what do you think is going to be like the death lineup?
So I'll preface my answer with calling out that there wasn't a lot of Brogdon in all of our dream lineups in this segment so far. It was mentioned once or twice, but didn't play a key role really in any of our lineup choices. So I think the death lineup is going to be Derek White, Malcolm Brogdon, Jaylen Brown, Tatum, and if healthy, and if he has gelled well with the team to that point, Porzingis. I think that's just your 5 most elite players, and that's what a death lineup is. I think Horford, you know, like he's going to be more of a situational player this year. Rob can play himself into being a part of that death lineup, but like as things stand right now, compared to the rest of the roster, I don't think he belongs on that death lineup. So that's what it is for me. Luke Cornett, we're seeing some Cornett comments here. Cornett's not going to make the death lineup. And, you know, he's the 15th man. You know, we love Cornett, but we love him for who he is, not necessarily what he is, if that makes sense.
Yes, no question.
So, yeah, to get back to the death lineup stuff, yeah, so Derek, Brogdon, the Jays, and Porzingis.
Yes, I think, like, the actualized version of this team, like, has to have Porzingis in there. Like, if this team reaches its absolute ceiling, it's with Porzingis in the lineup. Obviously Jalen, obviously Jason, and I think Derek. I think Derek, Jalen, Jason, Porzingis. I think in the best case scenario, those 4 guys are pretty much a lock to being like this death lineup, and then that last spot is where we're gonna find out. Now Brogdon, I think, is a totally fair option. I don't know if this is a hot take, but I'm hoping this might be wish casting. Could it be Sam Hauser?
Oh.
Could it be Sam Hauser? Maybe not like the closing lineup in a playoff game, but there's this lineup you go to in like the middle of the third quarter, Warriors-esque, where the games just get absolutely broken open. Where, you know, why is Brogdon out there in that death lineup? You know, you can play a little bit of defense. He's obviously an elite shooter. I think Hauser can definitely match him as far as a shooting perspective goes. Was Brogdon a markedly better defender than Sam Hauser last season?
I mean, I'd have to look at the numbers.
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like there was a lot to be desired from Brogdon's defense last season relative to the rest of the team. So I think that like you add Hauser, who's 6'8", better rebounder. I think as equally good at shooting. So all of a sudden it's like this elite shooting team. So it's a kind of a giant team where the shortest player is Derek White at like 6'4", 6'5", and it's Jalen 6'7", Hauser 6'8", Tatum 6'9", and then the Sing Dog.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to sub anyone out for Malcolm Brogdon in favor of elite shooting, given where he finished league-wide in shooting last year. But yeah, crunch time, like, put defense aside, like just crunch time execution on either end was clearly not a strong suit for Malcolm Brogdon for the majority of last year, particularly in the playoffs.
One of the worst turnovers we've ever seen, where he threw the pick 6 to Maxey in game 1 of the Sixers series to pretty much seal that loss. Yep. And
if we lost that series, maybe this is a hot take, maybe it isn't, but like Brogdon is long gone from this team already. So like it was kind of saved by Tatum's 50 and and also that epic end to game 6 as well. Yeah, this is interesting.
What about who's the better cutter? Because I don't think in this lineup, Derek and Tatum are going to be your primary and secondary ball handlers, depending on which way you order them. So there's that's just tertiary ball handling at that point. So do I want the guy who's better at cutting? as well.
It's okay. So death lineups, like, first of all, situationally, your death lineup comes in to close a game, right?
Yeah.
And
maybe.
so I'm just circling back in my mind. So crunch time, Brogdon, not a strong suit. Hauser, like, kind of unproven, right? Like, he hasn't really been tested in those moments. So I think you've still got to go to Brogdon, because I have to hope, I have to believe, Jake, it's the only way I can sleep at night, that it's an adjustment, an amendment that Brogdon will make to his game and his approach going into his second year with the Celtics. Kind of knows the situation a little bit better, knows the team, there's more chemistry. Yes, there's a relationship issue in that we almost traded him away, but he's back. The dust will have settled by the time we start training camp. Like, he is kind of an elite player in a lot of facets. I think you've got to include him in the death lineup over Sam Hauser. I understand the approach. I want it to be Hauser. I hope that he gets to that point.